Hey famous warrior, welcome back to our channel. I know you guys have heard the phrase power couple in one form or another, and today I have an exciting episode lined up for you guys. I got my cousins in the house and they're here to talk all things power couple, husband, wife, couple teams, and how they're running their business together as a team. What has been going well, what hasn't been going well, what you guys can learn from their experience. Is it true that spouses can't work together? I don't know. I guess we'll find out from this interview. So I hope that you enjoy it. I hope it inspires you and encourages you. Welcome, you guys. You were busy saying you're finally here. Yeah, you're finally
we made
here.
it.
I hope if it was just me and Liz, I would be worried that we wouldn't stay on topic because we like chatting too much. But I think because Musonda is here, we might be a little more focused. So yeah, thanks for coming. Thanks for making the time. In true famous warrior fashion, Musonda, you can start answering this question. Tell us about yourself in 5 sentences. This is just so the people watching can get to know you a little bit as they listen to you unpack your story.
5 sentences.
Yes, please.
I feel like 5 sentences is a bit limited.
Yes, that's the point.
So maybe 1. I'm a Warriors fan. I wake up at 4 a.m. to watch basketball.
Wow.
Sometimes 2 a.m.
Wow.
And my son joins me sometimes. He's catching on. 2, I like being busy. I think being an entrepreneur really fits my personality because I can't do a 9 to 5. It's very, very hard to just sit in one place for
I agree.
all those hours. And when I'm not being busy, I like being home, cozy in my pajamas, watching TV sometimes. Yeah, playing. And I'm also a gamer, so yeah, I do play some games whenever I get the chance.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's 5.
Yeah. Okay, Liz, your turn.
He made that sound so easy. And here I was like racking my brain, like, okay, 5.
I'm a
Okay.
natural.
You got this.
So yeah, I'm firstly a mom. I'm a new mom, so I'm enjoying that. I, like you said, work with my husband, which is an interesting thing. Lovely, but interesting.
What interesting was that?
Yeah. I love to dance. I also have an artistic side that people don't know about. I love art, and I tried painting. It didn't work out, but yeah, it's something that I need to explore more. But there's that side to me, and I just I love being around people that I love.
Yeah.
Is that a thing that I
Yeah.
can say?
Yeah.
Yeah, and just people I love and care about. And when I'm not busy and trying to do everything, I enjoy just time alone. I know it's a weird thing, but I enjoy time alone, just time to myself, to my thoughts.
So would you describe yourself as an introvert?
Yes. Actually, after the extraness of life, I like to just shut it down and just spend time with myself and my thoughts and be alone for a bit. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So inquiring minds want to know, how did you guys meet?
Okay.
Inquiry, man.
Yes, just
inquiring
summarize summarize it before we get into the power couple, duo situation, doing business together and all that stuff. Like, tell us the love story. How did you guys meet?
I think
This
he's
is
the
the
summarizer.
summarized version, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
because I won't summarize.
Okay. Yeah, we met in 2017. I started going to Miracle Life in 2017. I did the course called Alpha, and I met Elizabeth there.
Ah, okay.
So we became friends for, I think, a good 2016 to 2020. We got pretty close, and during the COVID times, well, things happened.
sparked.
Yes, things happened.
So hold on. Were you initially attracted to each other, or was it just like we're just friends, platonic only?
We were safe. We were very safe friends.
We were
very,
friends,
very safe
like
friends.
for real.
But we became best friends. Then I was like, they say marry your best friend.
Yeah.
So I did that.
Okay. Awesome.
2020, we became very close. 2021, we got married. So we started dating in 2020, around, I think it was in May. Then we got married.
9 months later.
Yeah, we dated and courted for like 9 months. Then we got married in March 2021.
Okay. Awesome.
It was an interesting period of life.
We need to have like another episode where you can just talk about that part.
It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, we want to hear that story nicely. But today our focus is you guys and how you've been working together and how do you make that work. So tell us a bit about your business. I know, Muzo, you started the business before Liz came into the picture. So lay a bit of foundation for us by telling us about your business, how long has it been in operation, and how long have you been doing it together?
Okay, so our company is called Mair. It encompasses, right now we have 2 legs of it that are fully functional. There's a third leg that we'll be developing later, but so we have Mair Pharmacies and Mair Pharmaceuticals.
Okay.
So Mair Pharmaceuticals focuses on the B2B end of the business, so we deal with other businesses, clinics, hospitals. Mostly we've just been doing private clients, but now we're getting more into the public procurement system because of obvious reasons. The situation is better now. But on the pharmacy end, we put up community-based pharmacies that provide pharmaceuticals and other products to the communities around. And yes, we have 3 locations currently. One is in Ibex, the other is in PHI, and the latest one is in Mindstone area, near Hybrid.
Okay.
Yeah, so first registration was in 2018, and after school I worked for about 2.5 years for the mines. Then I moved to Lusaka to go back to school. Then it was when I was in Lusaka, when I came back, that's when I realized I'm not cut for for employment. Yes, I used to do a lot of thinking. There was this one shift that was very long, and I used to go in at 6 p.m. Then I have to knock off at 7 a.m.
Wow.
And I used to do a lot of thinking when nobody is there. I was like, can I really manage? Can I do this for the rest of my life?
Anyone would do a lot of thinking.
I know, right?
So from there, I decided I think it's time to get back in the business space, because I had already started something in Kitwe, which it went but didn't go as far as I wanted it to go. So I decided to give it another shot, and we started in 2018. Then my wife joined us in 2021 after we got married.
Okay. During your courtship, was this like always part of the plan? Like, okay, when we get married, you're gonna join the team. Was you're laughing? I want to hear the answer to this question. Was it always part of the plan, or did it just happen? Like, tell us about that situation.
So, doing what I'm doing now was not something I had envisioned, to be honest. I think we talked about it when dating, but it was very much in passing. Very much like, 5 years from now kind of thing.
And for 5 years.
Yes, and because I was working at the time somewhere else, and I was okay with where I was working, I didn't picture myself working with him. I hadn't even reached a point, I'm a planner. So I hadn't reached a point where I even began to think about what I would be doing if I was working with him.
Okay.
But we kind of had talked about one day, futuristically,
Yeah.
one day
Yeah.
we'll work together,
Yeah.
and it would be good to do our own thing. Yeah. But God has his own ways of doing things, and here we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've heard this statement before, but I have, especially because I work with Caesar. But I've heard people say, like, Ish, don't you get tired of being with each other? Like, you're always together, you work together, then at home you're together, then ministry you're together. Like, don't you get tired of each other? And then also, the phrase that, okay, spouses working together is a recipe for disaster. Like, I've also heard that before. So what's your opinion on those viewpoints, and speak into what you guys have experienced since 2021 when you joined the team?
So I think for me, that was actually one of the things that was a huge kind of holdback in jumping into this, in that from just listening to other people, from watching other people, I kind of, questioned whether it was something that worked.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think even with Sonda, we had a lot of conversations, a lot of conversations of just, are we really certain we're doing this, and how are we going to do this? How does this work? Does it get boring working with you? No, I don't think so. I don't know. I love him, so I get to see him. We get to bump heads. We get to have intense discussions.
Yeah.
But it's really been fun, to be honest, And I say that surprisingly, like I surprise myself. I'm also like, oh, wow, it's been fun, really. But genuinely, it has been fun in that the goodness is that for us, I don't know about other couples, I can't speak for them. For us, the way our dynamics work makes it work in that we are very different.
Okay.
So we're very different in both personality and also gifting.
Yeah.
So, and the goodness is that we understand that. And so we complement each other a lot.
Okay.
Yeah. So that just makes it work.
Okay. Okay. Musonda, any thoughts? Any other thoughts?
Well, yeah. I think the best part of it is having to spend the whole day
Yeah,
together.
I think that's the best part.
I mean,
but people are like, don't you get
couples
tired?
have to like,
Not
plan
see each other,
around
yeah.
their calendars to, just allocate time to be together. But for us, I think the best thing is always being in close proximity with your partner. And I think the different giftings, as Elizabeth has alluded to, help us in that she does things that I can't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can go to
So your
school
wires don't
7
like
years. No.
cross. Yeah.
No. She does things that she's comfortable doing. I do things that I'm comfortable doing, and like that we complement each other. And it works. It really does work. I'm yet to hear I'm yet to hear from somebody about the recipe being working together being a recipe for disaster, and I would like to ask them how.
Yeah.
Because really I think if there's healthy communication, it's very, very easy to work to do this. And yeah.
Okay. Liz, you alluded to having some apprehension about diving into the deep end of this husband-wife team. So what are some things that you were worried about before, and then now that you're in it, I would like to hear from both of you about what you think are some advantages and disadvantages of spouse teams. Okay. Yeah.
So my concerns before joining him, firstly, we were very newlywed.
Yes.
Like we were so newlywed. I thought his family would just be like,
guys,
suspect.
I know.
Like, are you sure you got married for the right reasons? And I didn't want that perception. I didn't want his family or friends to assume I had gotten married to him so I could get into this business.
Okay.
Or whatever he was doing. Kind of like a gold digger-ish situation. So those were some of the concerns I had. also my own family. They knew I had something going on. I was working and kind of making money on my own. So I had concerns with, how will they handle this shift in that. And when I did finally kind of let them know what the decision we had made was, there were questions that they had. And yeah, kind of like, okay, are you getting paid? And bless them, they were genuinely concerned.
Yeah.
They want to know that I'm okay and things like that. So those were some of like the concerns. Also, I didn't want to start working with him and then just be there because I was his wife, but kind of not doing things that I'm gifted in or really contributing to the growth of the business.
Yeah.
I wanted, if I was gonna make that shift, to be able to actually use my giftings and to actually genuinely help. Bring something significant to the table.
Yeah.
Yes. And so those were some of the conversations we had to have even beforehand. Before I jumped in, I remember having like a whole conversation. Like, I need you to write down
what's my salary gonna be?
What's my job description? I actually asked him that, like, put down what my job description is.
Like, guys,
what are you expecting from me? Because I'm like a doer. I want to get my job done, and so I want to know, what are you expecting of me? Because it's easy to kind of confuse the lines when you're working, in that you kind of fall into this, because she's my wife or because it's my husband, they can get away with not doing anything. So I didn't want that. So, and also his team, there was the apprehension. He had a team already, team of people he was working with, and just imagine he announces to his team, I'm getting married.
Wife is coming.
And the next thing, wife is joining the team. So I had to really, and this was also conversations I had with God in just helping me kind of merge with the team or fuse into the business
properly,
without without there being so much friction and
drama.
Team dynamic issues. So that was it was interesting.
Okay. So Muso, tell us about the job description.
I did a lot of writing
Wow.
before we got married, because I'm not very gifted administratively, but when it comes to doing stuff, I can do. Go without anything. So the plan will be there, only that it's not written. But the Bible tells us to write down our vision so clear that anyone can tell where you're going. So that was one of the, I think that was the first challenge, because it was kind of conditional. She's like, okay, if I'm gonna join you for work, where are we going? And then I'm like, we're going this way. And then she's like, no, I want to see it. I want to be able to read it for myself and be able to interpret, and so that we can break it down. So we did a lot of writing together. I had to, put down, and when you put down things on paper, that's when you realize, oh, wait a minute, this is not exactly what I want to do. So it also provided us an opportunity to just tweak the vision a bit, and we picked it up from there. She came in, all the circumstances leading to our wedding and after our wedding provided for her to join us 3 months after our wedding. We were planning, we even wrote somewhere 5
years. That was our 5-year plan.
We'll be working together. I had my own plans, but God also had his own plans. So circumstances just led to her coming in earlier than she was supposed to. And I think that was the best decision of her life.
Honestly, even the way things worked out, when I look back, had I come in after or had I not come in at all, I just question how he would have managed.
Things,
because the business was growing. I think, how many months later, we opened a second branch after our wedding. We got married in March. We opened a second, the same 3 months. We opened a second branch, and that meant more work,
Exactly.
a bigger team. And so I just question how, he would have managed on his own. And I just see, God's love for him
Yeah.
through that period. I was just like, wow, like God knew he needed someone to help him.
Yeah.
And I just happened to have the giftings that were needed for that particular moment. For me, when I look back, I'm just like, wow, the way God works.
Yeah.
And also just the circumstances, like he was saying, surrounding my shifting to work with him. It was actually more circumstantial in that I quit my job at a time I wasn't expecting to quit. I was about to get married. How many months before our wedding? 2 months before our wedding, I had to quit my job. And I'm thinking, where will I get the money?
I know,
We
what
have a
is
whole
this,
wedding
guys?
to pay for. And I'm just like, Lord, like, what's going on? And I remember just telling God, I said, Lord, my job is not my source. You are my source. I remember just saying that and trusting him, and us having, of course, conversations, and he kept saying, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
You're making the right decision. And I remember him not also kind of being, that person who's like, oh yes, quit your job so you can join me.
Yeah.
No, he actually was like, you take time off work. Don't
figure
worry
yourself
about
out.
don't worry about the circumstances. We'll sort it out. And even after our wedding, he was like, take time, like, don't rush into getting into another job, because I was thinking I need to start looking for work. So he's like, don't rush into getting into something else. Take some time, because of just the stress that went on with the whole process. Take some time to yourself. And then in that process of me taking time, me having conversations, I began to actually question, okay, he would say it like, have you considered joining me? And I would somehow just be like, yeah, but then I started to actually think about it, seriously think about it. And that's when those questions started coming of, and those conversations started happening of, if I do come, what does that look like?
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So Musonda, tell us in your experience since you joined the team, tell us about your perspective on advantages and disadvantages. Like, what are the perks of having your spouse have your back as your business partner, and what are also some disadvantages that you've experienced, which if you don't take care of or nip in the bud or talk about, which it sounds like you guys have a lot of conversations about these things, it can actually derail you?
Let me start with the disadvantages.
The bad news first.
No, let me start with the bad news first. There's a reason I want to start with the bad news first. So, the bad news is, if you yourself as a man, let me talk to the guys. If you yourself as a man do not know what boundaries are, there will be a lot of crossing. There has been times when, and we're human. We've both done courses like Changes That Heal. We've done boundaries. We've read boundaries books. But when you're in the situation, it's very, very difficult sometimes. And this happens sometimes because we lapse, and work gets emotional. We have people who break down at work, cry when they're shouted at by their boss. So you need to be really grounded in that. You need to separate work and your colleague and your wife. So this is even in how you talk to them. So when you're dealing with them as your colleague, your language is professional. If you are calling them out on something, you are professional, because you would get tempted to get the privilege that you have by knowing them as your wife. And of course, knowing them means you know their weaknesses and use that against them in a professional setting. That's very, very wrong. And we always have to look out for that. Thank God for our work. I'm leading my own team this way. She's leading her own team this way. When their team is not doing is doing something that will stifle our progress, then we just get to communicate in an official setting, we rarely get to a point where it gets heated. The communication is well received, and I think it's because we're in different departments and also doing different
in your
things.
own lanes.
Yes,
so to say.
yes. That helps a lot. Things wouldn't be as smooth if we were both doing admin.
Oh, yes.
Because then I would be the one being, questioned
Yeah.
every time. Yeah. But thank God for realizing what our giftings are. It makes our work smoother. So boundaries is something to look out for very, very early in your relationship as a team. Yeah, and the advantages, well, there are plenty.
Is that only a disadvantage?
That's the biggest.
She asked for a number.
Share all of them.
Yes,
Let me think.
Okay,
let me go back.
Yeah,
Let me go
you
to
go
the
back.
advantages.
Yeah.
I'll go back to the disadvantages. For the advantages, well, first the money stays within. you get to keep as much money as you can. Of course, the teams will grow. You need to hire other expertise, and business entrepreneurship is tough.
Yeah.
It's hard, and you need a partner that really understands you, and they need a partner that understands them too. So coming out of a marriage and into a partnership as the married couple helps you support each other. So and the biggest support that I think you'd get from having a partner who's your wife is the emotional support. This is a support that, if for instance you were my partner, you would only support me up to a certain stage. And at a certain time you go home, I go home.
Yeah.
But when I wake up in the middle of the night, thinking about how we're gonna crack A, B, C, D, she's there to just even take your mind off whatever is worrying you, and just say, hey, let's worry about this tomorrow.
Yeah.
Tonight let's just sleep and rest so that we're good. That's one advantage. The other advantage is that just it's easy. We take them for granted, but it's easier and it's more comfortable. You don't get to question the other person's motive.
Yeah.
The moment you sit down, cast a vision, you work on the vision together, you aim at, okay, let's do this. You don't get to question your partner. I've been in other business partnerships where we agree to say this is the direction, but then actions suggest otherwise. And I've had to kind of remove myself from those situations. But with having my wife as a partner, it really works out for us. And the other thing is we get to push each other. I tell people that I'll find someone and they're like, I know I'm doing my masters, and I'm like, you love school. But if I get to think about it myself, I've been in school constantly, like for a very long time. And so it's the same thing we sit down, make plans and say, okay, I'll be in school up to this time.
Yeah.
Then you do something. We're giving each other a chance to continuously develop ourselves, even professionally. Should anything happen to us, or should we decide to just go public and remove ourselves from the business, and we can do other things. So those are some of the things that come off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I can write you a whole page.
You're now good at writing.
Oh yes, now I'm good at writing. I write things.
Okay, so you've spoken about boundaries, and I'm sure the people who are listening who maybe haven't been exposed to the idea or the principles of boundaries like we have, especially being Miracle Life people or Rema graduates, they're wondering what is that, So in your own words, what are boundaries? And then what are some practical boundaries that you've had to employ in your business partnership relationship to help keep work as work, home as home, romance as romance, and not have those things mix? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So boundaries are basically these lines that you draw around yourself and the things that you do. So one very practical thing that we do is after 5 we don't talk about work. We will, if it's an emergency and it's pressing,
say we try not
to talk about it. This is the boundary. The boundary is that after 5 we don't talk about work. That's the boundary. Whether or not we achieve it every day is another question. So we strive to achieve this. We strive to arrest the weekends just for ourselves. I know Caesar wins at this because sometimes I'll be calling him and he's like,
I'm resting.
I'm out with the family and all. So, and I was thinking about it. I was like, I should do that more often also. Like just shut off for the weekend. So we try to keep the weekend, but the nature of our business doesn't help. It really doesn't help. We're offering primary health care and really people don't take off days getting sick. So the team is constantly, wanting to find out whether it's just, professional consultation or they want to do something and they need authorization. We've tried to build leaders around us and it's a continuous process, and that has lessened the amount of things that come directly to us. But you still have to get involved somewhere. Sometimes, you just get a call and say, Louise came to the pharmacy. I'm like, okay.
Do I need to know that?
No, they mentioned that they know you. And I was like, oh, okay, that's fine. You didn't need to call me.
In case she says that Musonda was not here.
Exactly. So there's that we're trying to work around, and also just these issues with phones, because mostly both of our phones are busy for work. So we've been trying to put boundaries around no phones to bed, and I'm a culprit. No phones to bed, no laptops to bed. At least for laptops, we've managed. We leave our laptops out.
But the phone,
but
your alarm is on your phone.
And it's really easy to cross the boundaries, especially the phone. I mean, it's right there, and the phone is ringing, so you might as well take it. So yes, those are some of the boundaries that we've tried to set. I know Elizabeth has got.
Liz,
low down on all of them.
Tell us a bit more about this boundary thing.
Yes, so like Musonda said, I think one huge one is work at home. I think we try to just shut off from work and kind of talk about other stuff outside of work at home. That's not always easy, and I do say sometimes he'll be like, babe, that thing at the office, and I'm like, well, we'll talk about it tomorrow, so it's kind of like we have to constantly be helping each other with the boundary thing. But I like his definition of boundaries and how that you just know where your line starts and where it ends. Okay, so there are times, and I'll say this, I think I speak to the culture around us, especially from me being his wife. I think there are certain expectations that are there of a wife, and so that can easily be transferred to work. So I'm constantly having to just remind him that, hey, I'm your colleague. As much as I'm your wife, here I'm your colleague, and so this is kind of where I end. And that takes, I think, even on his end, maturity to actually accept that. Okay.
And a laying down of the pride.
Yes. And laying down of the pride thing and whatever. So I will say he's done a good job with that. I don't know how our team kind of looks at it.
I remember one time when Caesar and I were still working at the church, a situation that happened, because though we were in different departments, kind of similar to what you're describing, you have your own lane, your own team, but then your departments need to resource each other at some point. So you need something from this other team or vice versa, right? And the worship team would need to resource the children's department, make sure our worship is working, or if we have a big event, Even the Caesar was in charge of the sound team, so we would need sound on a Sunday. And I can't remember what exactly the situation was, but we put in a request for what we needed, and then they let us down. So our thing happened, and it didn't go so well. And later on, I was talking to him about it, and we were standing outside, and we were having this conversation. And another colleague, who happened to be an older lady, was just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe Louise is talking to her husband like that. That's not how you're supposed to speak to your husband. And, and she came to talk to me about it later, like, no, that's not how you're supposed to talk to your husband. But then I'm like, I get you, but in this situation, I'm not his wife. I'm a fellow head of department, and he dropped the ball. His team dropped the ball, and we're upset. We let the kids down, and that's not how we do things here. So I was expressing my disappointment as a fellow HOD. So how have you guys navigated that with your staff? Because they're looking at you as they're supervisors in various scenarios, but then they can't run away from the fact that you're spouses. So, and especially on the woman's side, like you've alluded to, there's the tradition that comes in of, okay, how is she talking to her husband? Has she taken him coffee on a tray to his desk? And all those, how do you... How do you, has she brought the lunch box, the breakfast? Like, there's just all these nuances and layers that you have to navigate when you're in this situation. So how have you, speak to that. How have you navigated that? Or even had situations where maybe it's even a customer who knows you're married and they're like, hey, why are they talking to each other like that? Or whatever.
I think you speak first.
It's tough. They can't even make you coffee this side. The best I get is, have you eaten? And it ends there. So I have to.
I sometimes say, would you like some tea? As a
if
colleague.
I'm making.
If I'm making.
To this day, I'm yet to have that tea or coffee.
Dear.
So I think so we've kind of started to divide our management structure, and we're tiering it. So the immediate the two managers that we have right now seem to get how we work. So there's no misconception there or miscommunication whatsoever. They deal with us as they're different leaders, not necessarily as a couple. Maybe it's because
one of them comes to Miracle Life.
Maybe it's because one of them comes to Miracle Life and the other just took after what she saw. But it's really been straightforward there. The rest of the team,
I think it's also maturity on their part.
Yeah, it's also understanding how we carry ourselves, because we do not, we try our best. Well, we're not even trying. We've just decided to say, hey, when we're here, we're working. So
we don't carry ourselves as husband and wife.
Couple.
Like we're at work, we're at work.
So before you carry on, was this something that the scenario that you're describing with your two direct reports, was this something that evolved over time because they didn't know how you work when they just came on the team, or is it a conversation that you had to have with them like from the get-go? Did it take a few weeks for them to kind of learn how you work? Like, try and walk us through that process. Like, for anyone out there who's watching, is there a conversation that they should have with their team, or is it something that just happens organically? And how do you navigate that? Because I'm asking this question also having the experience, having you guys' experience, and having a team as well, and having managers as well who know, okay, you guys are married. And for us, it wasn't an automatic thing. It took time for them to learn, like, okay, we can't pit these two against each other. It kind of became like parents with kids. You know how kids would try and pit parents against each other. Like they'll talk to one about something and then they will come this other side and says, like, no, daddy said yes, but really it's no. Yeah. So have you had how did you lay that foundation, and was it like an automatic this is working, or did you have instances where there had to be course correction because they were trying to test the boundaries that you are trying to put in place?
So the Bible somewhere it says that two cannot walk together unless they agree. So the root of any success, especially with teams, stems from the founders. If you as the founders are of one mind, then everything else would flow. Right now you could call someone, maybe one of the managers, and say, no, Elizabeth authorized this, you need to do this. And that person will just tell you no. It's not possible that this person would authorize this. And they would have to call to confirm, if really it is something. So it works the same even for us. I know someone from her team wouldn't just come up and they know what I can. It's like we've pre-authorized things and we've exchanged notes. So I know what she's pre-authorized and she knows what I've pre-authorized. So sometimes it doesn't even have to take me to confirm with her. She'll just she'll just say no, that's not possible. Yeah. So that I think that then trickles down into this working culture that is so evident that somebody would pick it up on the first day of work, and second day they'll kind of just read the room and understand and say, oh, okay, here they don't work like this. I have worked for a couple before, and I have worked for a couple before, and it was knowing who to take what to. This person is gonna say yes to this person is gonna say no to this. For us it's not like that. For us it's these guys will say yes to this, and these guys will say no to this. So it's both. It's kind of like we're on the same page. We know what we want to do. Between us, we do have those differences in what we want to achieve. She's doing finance and admin. She's worried about we should pay ABCD or we should save ABCD. I'm looking at the suppliers. I'm like, I need to pay this supplier. I need the goods, you know. So there's always that, but that is just locked on like this level of management. It doesn't go down, and everything else seems seamless down here. But the work had to be done, and where we had to like just agree and say, yes, this is the direction that we're taking, and we went that way. Okay. So it's really helped the team that we agree.
Yeah. I think to start with, that vision thing has helped a lot, in that, like Musonda is saying, we understand the vision. We understand where we're going. But also, I like the question that you asked regarding, did you have a conversation? And I'm just like, maybe I should have had
it's a good thing.
Maybe I should have had a conversation. But I think one thing that, and when I'm trying to think, why does our team kind of understand us? But I think it's because we have clear job descriptions. Even for them, they kind of have to know what they're doing. Yeah. Why they're there. Yeah. Okay. So they know that we also have what we do and why we're doing what we do. And I think we try to explain. We don't explain the whole job description, but we explain our roles and where we fall and where we don't fall, so that even when they have to deal with something, they know who to go to for what. So that's been helpful. But like I said, also the maturity of the team, and I say this in that I think we have a great team. I think we have some really good people on our team. They're mature in that they've kind of, through maturity, begun to understand how we do things and how we are, even our individual personalities, because those kind of peek their heads out, they peek their heads out here and there. But that's been helpful in that we're able to now work together seamlessly. Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And we're still developing.
Yeah. Ooh, and there's a lot of work. Ooh. Working with people, there's a lot of work that still goes into it. A lot of training that still goes into it. but just understanding that. And also, like I said, the job descriptions again, and the fact that we both are doing what we're supposed to be doing. So I think they see that and they're like, oh, okay, I guess I better be doing what I'm supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. It sounds to me like you guys have really run with this boundary thing. Because even as you're speaking about job descriptions in my mind, I'm like, those are boundaries. My job description tells me where I start, where I end, and where the other person is starting, where they end. So it just speaks to the strength of boundaries and the necessity of boundaries, even in this situation. But tell us about a time when you did not employ the boundaries that you have in place. So you have them, but for some reason, in this particular situation, you didn't do what you knew to do, and it caused issues. Yeah.
I can tell you.
Yes, please. Tell us.
We recently, not so recent, like late last year, we had someone come through and they were interested in becoming an investor. And at the time, what they were offering, we've been looking for a very, very different kind of investor, not somebody that just brings money. No, we're not about money. We're looking at accomplishing the full vision of our company. So we want somebody who will be specially gifted to help us achieve this.
Okay.
So somebody had expressed interest, and we needed to do an evaluation of the company. And it so happened that our finance team had left out, they were running behind with getting one part of our business up to date in terms of records and their reconciliation and all. So we didn't have the full numbers, and that hindered our progress for a short while. So I remember saying, okay, we need these numbers by this day, and the day came and the numbers were not ready. So we had this conversation, and a lot of other things were happening around
in your home life, or in the business?
In the business, and also at home, we have a toddler who was struggling with colic. We were both sleep deprived, and you still have to wake up and go get it. Yeah, you got to work. So my friend here came out and complained that I was not considering her situation, and I just wanted to keep demanding of her. And so I paused and I waited just for her to realize that we're actually having a work conversation. Right, a work conversation. Though we were at home, I think we were in the car, we were about to leave.
Okay.
And she really just complained, and I didn't say I'm sorry. No, I did not apologize because we were having a work conversation. So I just kept quiet, waited for my friend to realize that this is actually a work conversation. And then, we eventually sorted that out, and I asked if they needed more help in the department. Of course, I was coming off the back of feeling like, they're a team of two, and the work is, it can be achieved by one person. But then I got to understand that it's a lot of work, because it's a lot of work. They have to go through a lot of numbers, and they have to make sure that everything is accurate. So we'll cut them some slack. But that is one time that I can remember where our boundaries were, like mambo jumbo, they crisscrossed.
Okay.
And
have you ever had, I want to twist the question a bit for Liz, have you ever had a situation where you've had like an argument at home, and then now you don't have that space like to decompress, or like when you've argued, and then to just have time away from the person? So you had this argument at home, and then you have to get in the car with the same person, drive to the office, and you don't want to talk to them. You just need space from them. And how have you navigated that, especially as newlyweds? Because you're learning each other still, and you're gonna butt heads, you're gonna have friction, and then now you have to go to work and act like you're all good.
Okay, I'll say honestly, a lot of times I've been petty. I'm telling you, I've been petty a lot of the times. I'm still, trying to grow in the Lord. But a lot of times, but of course, not to the extent that the team knows that that is wild. But I'll probably be like, I don't want to talk to this person. But then, with the nature of the work, and also it's helped that we're friends, He'll know how far he can push it, and he'll know when to just leave me alone. Like we're saying, this conversation, I think I had just come back from leave, and I remember the plan for leave was that I was supposed to take the leave and then work from home for a period of time. And then from nowhere, my assistant, I'll say from nowhere, my assistant says, she's quitting her job, and she's my backup person.
Yeah, she's your right hand.
She's my right hand. And then now I'm dealing with that, and then dealing with, I think at the time it was a new person, Did we have the new person yet? Yeah, then I have a whole new person that I'm training. So I just felt like, oh my Lord, this is not happening. Yeah. And I blew up, And I remember even his calmness was annoying me. It was even making me feel worse. Yes, feel worse. And deep down I knew I had dropped the ball. Yeah. But I think my pride was just like, I need to tell you why I've dropped the ball.
I'm going to just own it.
Yes. And so I think we laugh about it now, but in the moment, I think we went to work and I was a bit more quiet that day.
Salty.
Yeah, but one thing we do is, even though and this is something that I'll say comes from the friendship, even though we would have an intense situation like that, we don't do that thing like we don't talk for days. No, like he's too much of my friend. Like, who will I tell? Like, even when I'm upset, I'll even tell you, I was upset with you that day, like stuff like that. So after some time, and because we work so much together, we have to give our friend a response, and we can't be childish about it. So at some point, I'll talk to him, and then we'll have our proper conversation just to kind of clear the air regarding that thing. And it might not be at work or whatever, but that's kind of
let me just add, I know she's attributed our communication to also the anchor of our being friends, but we also learned something very valuable from Pupzianji and Maria. They taught us this thing, like, you have to separate the communication, like the types of communication in marriage. There's this communication that we have as husband and wife, but then there's a communication that never stops. The one that you have as husband and wife, calling yourselves pet names. Like that one can be disturbed by an emotional earthquake, but there's a type of communication that doesn't have to stop, and that's operational communication. So you can have an argument in the car, as husband and wife. She gets into the office, I'm driving to whatever meeting I have, and the phone rings, immediately. And, straight into the communication. Hey, so I need you to do A, B, C, D. Oh, okay, I'll do this. Okay, you do this for me. Okay, bye. And, we'll communicate throughout the day. Even when we get to meet, we'll still communicate. Even when we get home, we'll still talk. And this is something that I try to emphasize, especially to my friends that are just getting married. I'm like, look, you need to still be able to communicate so that you can function. Because the two shall become one. You're one. You can't function without talking. You can talk to a certain level, and that never stops. So that has really, really helped us, even in our business. Yeah.
Awesome. Wow. So many amazing tips and tricks. Tips and tricks to implement or continue to endeavor to implement, and I'm really grateful for you guys just being open and sharing that stuff with the people watching. But before we go, just one from both of you, one last thing that you'd like to leave with someone watching out there who might be thinking about going into business with their spouse, or maybe they just started and they're having some friction and they're wondering, is this gonna work? Maybe I should just quickly get out of this situation before it gets more volatile, or whatever the situation is. But just some words of encouragement that you would have to leave as a final thought to somebody who's watching out there.
Firstly, remember that your relationship as a couple is the most important. You know, yes, you're in business together, but that doesn't supersede you being husband and wife. That's an important relationship. So work at that first, and then work at your business relationship. But also make sure that you understand what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing. That's important. Don't just get into stuff because someone else is doing it. It might not work for you. So understand why you're doing what you're doing. Another thing is, don't forget God. I think even though it's business and you're working with marketplace people, God is still and should still be your anchor, your help, your guide. So that's what I would.
Awesome. Muzo?
She said everything.
You have something to add.
Yeah.
Okay, speak to the men.
Yes, gentlemen. There's this. There are some statistics somewhere that show that over 80% of businesses that are founded by men die after the founder dies. And this is because you never got to share the vision with somebody close enough and somebody who thinks it's important enough to carry and run with it until they see it to fruition. We're not big enough to, set up a board and a huge team that will carry the vision no matter what happens. But as you start, try and sell your vision to your wife. Sell it good enough that she joins you, and if you're incapacitated in any way, trust me, your vision will come alive, because there'll be somebody to just carry it on. Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, you guys. This has been so fun.
This has been fun. We need to come back.
Yes, you need to come back to talk about.
Please.
Yes, we definitely will. We definitely will, because we want to hear more about the wedding, the courtship, all the things. You've alluded to some premarital advice. We want to hear about all those things. So you're definitely gonna get another invitation soon. But thanks for coming. Thanks for sharing your experience, your knowledge, your what's working, what's not working. I'm sure it's gonna help people out there. It's definitely open my eyes to certain things that I haven't thought about, that I'm gonna be like, okay, probably need to do that. Probably need a job description. Or a clearer job description. But yeah, this has been good. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us. Woo, we made it, Famous Warrior.
Awesome. So Famous Warriors out there, thank you so much for watching this video. I am sure that you have gotten 1 or 2 or 3 things that you can implement, or at least use to start as a conversation starter. Don't forget that even in business, our opportunity to fight is a privilege, and you guys are definitely worth that fight. Thanks for watching.